So start with honor and pleasure, not pressure. I'd like to invite you to speak to your people this evening. Thank you.
I want to say a great thank you to Philemon and his wife Gloria Akahitu. These people made it possible for a lot of things happening in Uganda, and great things are still going to happen. God, for Your Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, I am honored to know you, sir. We met at the event where I was a guest speaker for the graduation of University of Technology and Management, Uganda University of Technology and Management. The professor that invited me happens to be in Brazil right now. But we had only 30 minutes one-on-one before the commencement of the graduation. And Your Excellency was given 30 minutes to speak, and he said to the organizers, I just interacted with this young man. I cede 20 minutes of my time to him. Please give him a round of applause. Not many leaders in Africa would humble themselves that way. He made an impact in my life. And when we were on the high table after the vice president of the country left, we were only together at the top. I asked him, can you be the head of Board of Trustees GTAI East Africa? He said, I'd gladly be. That is a rare kind of leadership. I want to say a few things about him, but I would leave that for another time. But I am honored also to meet the ambassador of Kenya, but the wife is here. It's just a beautiful thing what I'm experiencing in East Africa. It's an incredible thing. This is actually the real Africa United. This hall represents. I want to thank my dear brother, the one that made it possible for the eagle to land in Uganda. Pastor Ben and his wife, Pastor Ben and Charity Nebechiku, they pulled the trigger. We wanted to do a road, one of the oil roads in Hoima. We wanted to do a school. There were 5 mega projects we were going to do. There was always something that didn't work out the way our standard is before we do business. Because we have certain principles we do not compromise. But my brother and I met by divine arrangement, and he was a straight shooter, and I'm a straight shooter. And when 2 straight shooters meet, things happen. And that's why that first project opened the door to Uganda, and things are happening in Uganda. Things are happening. I'm an architect. I came from Nigeria. I left my country at the age of 17. As a teenager, I moved to Europe, and I went to study architecture. I finished my master's degree. I went into fashion business, and the business became a multi-million-dollar business and moved me to the United States. I was invited by the government of the United States to be an American. You don't know that America invites some people to be citizens. They do. You go to the embassy here, I'm sure they are smart, intelligent people that they are poaching to become citizens, while others are breaking the doors to be invited. But I thank God for life. I went to America, and I did fashion for a while. Then I moved to financial services, Wall Street, and then finally real estate. My journey on earth is to do 1 million houses in Africa. And we are hoping that East Africa would get a portion of it. One of the good things that I thank Jesus for is my spiritual father. Please, if not God using this man in my life, I probably will be with the Freemasons or whoever that rule the world, and they will be using the gifts God put in my life. But a man saw me in Atlanta, and God used him to turn me to Jesus Christ. Let's give a round of applause to Bishop Godson Carlo. That's my spiritual father. I want to thank my dear sister, the MD of AC Yapen Global, Sister Ifeoma Duruchi. There's some women that are powerhouses in this. I look around, there are many of them. She was in London doing her thing, and I told her God asked me to come back to Africa. She immediately moved to Africa and has been with me through Think a Thing. And if you want to find me any part of the world, she knows where I am. And she did me a wonderful surprise by inviting my brother, who I've introduced. You know, he's the most handsome of us, eh? Chidi. I thank the members of GTAI group, AC Yapen. They are on the other side. Let's clap for them. And we have a special guest in the house. I can't call everybody one by one, but it would be nice to acknowledge a very good addition to the team, the director of AC Yapen, Javier Merino. Let's please clap for him. He is from Spain, and some of you would have watched some of his work during the Africa Cup of Nations. He was in charge of building the stadiums in Equatorial Guinea for the African Championship. He's now in Uganda. So whenever Uganda wants to build a world-class stadium, we have one of them in our team. Anybody that I have not acknowledged, please forgive me. I just need to do one more, which is my excellency. I'm a Nigerian American. I'm an American, but I'm first a Nigerian. And my excellency, your excellency, the ambassador of Nigeria, please, let's give him a wonderful applause. A lot of great businessmen here, members of parliament, lots of people. Who do I say and who do I mean, everybody invited here, you are special. You are very special to me, to somebody, to our company. It was difficult to get 100 because the list was 300. So we had to keep on making sure that there was no confusion, and we thank God that everything worked out. There's no overflow, and we thank God for it. I studied architecture because my father was a contractor. And I was a young kid. I didn't like my father sending me to his construction site every summer holidays. My friends would be playing. At the age of 12, 13, my father made sure I was at the construction site. And Nigeria was in the 70s enjoying oil boom. So construction was everywhere. So I started being in the construction site at the age of 12. And I hated it. I never liked going there. But by the time I was 16, I could pay 200 men on the construction site, 16-year-old, and you won't get away with anything. Never did I know God was preparing me for a time like this. When I started planning to go abroad, what I wanted to study was aeronautic engineering. Nigeria was doing very well. Nobody left Nigeria and wanted to stay outside of Nigeria then. So when the ambassador was sent to Poland, he asked my father, who were one of the leading political fathers, to give him one of his sons to thank him for and nominating him. In Nigeria, the leaders are behind the scene. Their people are in the front. So the ambassador was appointed by my father and his colleagues, and he took me as a way to thank my father. I didn't want to go to Poland because my brother was going to America, my cousins were going to London, and we were talking about Poland when it was communism. So I never. Then one of the big politicians who we all respect came to our house, and they said, Emeka, trust me, Emeka, not Emeka. He said, they told you to go abroad and you refuse. Do you know with 500 naira you can buy a car? He knew how to get a young man's imagination. Naira was 1 naira to $2. So with $1,000 you can buy a car. When he said that, my head spined. Even though my father had a lot of cars, he could never dare touch a key. So the dream of having a car sent me to Poland. And I thank God I went to Poland, because I have a balanced view of the world today. We are living in Poland, we are trading in Germany and in New York, and I could see the two worlds doing propaganda. Today, that has inspired my setting up a group called Greater Tomorrow Africa Initiative. The reason Africa Initiative is necessary is that we, the people in the diaspora, we have some things that Africa needs: exposure, knowledge, relationship, contacts, and financial resources. When you live anywhere in the world and you do well, you have to overcome the people of the land to do well. You cannot be at the top without being better than those who you are competing against. We went to school in Europe. Even though I was doing everything the young people do, when it comes to taking our exams, we don't play with our exams. Many young Africans around the world are doing wonders, but we are not appreciating our best out there. Many of my friends come back to Africa, to Nigeria, to different parts of the world, and they say the government will not allow us to do anything. They won't allow us to show our talent. And I decided to form a platform that will give every African, wherever they are, an opportunity, no excuse, to contribute back to Africa. We had a meeting. I'm doing a little introduction of my mission rather than my business, because after, how many of you know how many years I'm celebrating? 25, 45, 15. Well, I'm crossing to 56. When you cross 50, you start thinking about the other side of the divide. What would people remember you when you die? God had blessed me. I've lived a very comfortable life, and I don't think I deserve it. When I come to Africa and I see people walk in the sun constantly, laboring, and they go home for $20 or $30. At my least in Atlanta, I made $20,000 every month as a financial service consultant, and hundreds of thousands of dollars every month as a real estate player. Now, why was that for me? Why was it not the other person? When God puts something in your life, you need to know there must be a cause for resources. Resources are not to buy cars. It's not for the young men to experience the opposite sex. It is to make a difference in your community. If we Africans begin to think about legacy rather than bank accounts, Africa will be a different continent.
Yes, preach.
It's a preach. I am passionate about Africa because as a young kid, I went to Poland, and I used to go to Germany, I used to go to London. I've traveled around the world, and wherever you go as an African, Why do other races think they are superior to us? There is no reason for that. The only reason people think they are better than you is because when they watch TV, thousands of your youth are willing to die in the Mediterranean to be second-class citizens in another man's country. That's a travesty. It's not correct. Africa has everything Africa needs and more. I spoke to the CTO summit in Europe, 400 top executives of technology companies this last summer in Valencia. And I told them that if Europe do not make the right business alliance with Africa, in the next 10 years, all European economies will be bankrupt. If there's any finance, Madam Finance will know. Let's give it for Betty from the Ministry of Finance. Sorry. Europe. I'm sorry, Javier. I've said this in Europe, so it's not because I'm here. Europe is broke. Yes. Germany is carrying the whole load of the EU. The debt to GDP ratio of France is 90%. That means their debt to outside lenders is almost 100% of the total GDP. It's impossible to come out of debt. Spain, 110. 80% of European GDP ratio to their external debt is over 90%. Your GDP is the total money that circulates in the economy. It's not income. Total money that circulates in the economy. So, if your total money that goes through your bank account is equal to your debt, you're not able to come out of debt. It's not possible based on financial systems according to what we know in the world of finance. If you want to borrow money from the bank to own a house, if your debt to income is up to 40%, they will not give you a loan. They expect it to be less than 30%. And the countries of Europe that are telling Africans how to manage their economy are all broke. And our head of states go to meet somebody in London who is really in trouble, running away from EU because he knows EU is in trouble, and he tells them he want to help them. That's a lie. Britain health system and social security fund is overburdened. It's not sustainable. The baby boomers are retiring. I'm speaking high information, but very soon you would understand what I'm saying. The baby boomers are the people that were born after the World War, after they killed a lot of men during the World War. Babies were manufactured. And those baby boomers are getting to be 65 years old today. That means they're going to go to the pension house every month to collect money. Do you know what I'm talking about? When the number of people who are going to pay taxes are less than the number of people collecting taxes, it's not possible to solve that financial equation. Because if I speak big grammar, you will not understand me. So I put it in a layman term. The number of young people working in Europe paying taxes are less the number of people who have retired. And with science and technology, life is being prolonged. You're supposed to live about 15-20 years after 65. Now you're living 30 years. So even the money budgeted for those who are retiring, it's not possible to sustain them if there were equal numbers paying their taxes. If Africa today forms a wall between Africa and Europe, Europe will go to the poorhouse. Because resources of Africa sustain Europe today. I don't want to give a financial lecture, but I wanted to tell you why we set up Greater Tomorrow Africa Initiative. We felt that if the diasporans who are playing on the global field is able to partner with the intellectuals in Africa, we can bring European partners that are friends of Africa to make a difference in Africa. It is Africa's time. It is our time. It is Africa's time. It is our time. Africa's resources have fed the world for 400 years, and we have not touched 10% of the resources. How many of you know that your neighbor, Congo, is richer than most European countries put together? Do you know what I'm saying? Congo is richer than 90% of European countries put together. Because you've been forced in the 80s to devaluate your currency. That's why $1 is 3,400 shillings. 3,700, I'm corrected. It's an artificial financial equation. Those who have the resources that are substantial should be richer than those who have no resources. You're going to start listening. You're going to start listening to the UN, AU, and all the leaders of Africa talking about resource control very soon. We have engineered and ignited in African leaders to begin to talk about their own resource control. In the next 5-10 years, it will be a mandate that you can't export any raw material without adding value to it. Tell me what will happen to the factories in Europe? What will happen to the factories in America? If I was a president of any country, I'll make everybody who want to buy resources to buy it in our local currency. You will find your currency be one of your currency to two of America. America doesn't have any resource right now. Shale oil is not gonna last. Paper money is a sham. The only resource that is stable is gold. And gold is in almost every country in Africa. Every country in Africa has gold. But you will get your gold from the ground. You will take it to Switzerland. They put it in a safe and they give you a piece of paper. This is a piece of paper. They call it legal tender because they give an anonymous value to it and everybody agrees. And anytime they want, they will change it and everybody become poor again. But if you keep your gold, no matter what happens, nobody can get it and take it away. In Switzerland right now, if you bring money into Switzerland, they charge you money for bringing money into their country. While Africans are begging people to bring money. And please take my gold, give me artificial value. That is the reason Greater Tomorrow Africa initiative was set. And you are here actually indirectly celebrating Greater Tomorrow Africa initiative. That's why you see it on the board. The report, if everybody put their name and telephone number and email in the papers that are on your table, you will get this report emailed to you, and some of you might want to be part of this movement. Diasporans all over the world are joining us for Africa's Renaissance. We are the original culture. We are the original scientists. Pythagoras did not invent the triangular formula for mathematics. The Egyptians invented that. Anybody that went to school studied Pythagoras. The three angles of a triangle are equal, isn't it? Go and try to build a pyramid that is equal. The Japanese with computers went to Egypt and took the pyramid and tried to build a pyramid of equal size. They could not do it. But our fathers did that when nobody knew anything about mathematics. The apple does not fall far from the tree. We can't be great Africans thousands of years ago and today we are slaves. That's not possible. Somebody has sold you a lie that you are inferior. So my job and my calling for the last part of my 50 years, nobody did the mathematics. That was a joke. 50 years means 105 years. For the last part of my 50 years, I want to dedicate it to making a legacy. Now, when people think about legacy, they think about building structures and things tangible. My biggest business is intangible, consultancy and strategy. That's my biggest business. They are intangible. So my legacy is also going to be intangible. What is it? My legacy is to do a surgery on the mind of the African. I know this passed some people's head. My legacy is to change the way the African sees himself and the African continent. Because nobody can develop Africa but Africans. We are in a global market. We are in a global village with Internet of Things, with AI, with blockchain and cryptocurrency, with the internet making the world one little market. You think that the guy that is almost struggling to survive in Spain, I'm sorry, David, in Italy and Greece, is going to come to Uganda and help you develop your oil? Something must be wrong with that equation. A guy is broke. The World Bank gave money to Greece and gave them money to pay the money they gave them. No, check it. When the World Bank was giving them the money, they asked the chairman of the IMF, why are you giving money to Greece when you know they cannot pay? If it's an African country, they will devalue your currency to 1 to 1,000. Broke economies telling solid economies how to structure their finance. That's an abomination upon the earth. So if nothing you take from me is that you learn facts, everything I say is on video. Call me to defend it anywhere. It's on fact that the only left economy in the world that the whole world is rushing for is Africa. There's a mad rush for Africa. And we are stuck in I am from East, West, or North Africa. That's nonsense. We are stuck with artificial borders. I am from Rwanda, I am from Uganda. That's a lie. When I come from West Africa, I can't differentiate from a Rwanda, Uganda, or Kenyan. So why do you choose artificial borders to define who you are? That's it, my brother. I am an African. You are sons of royalty. Sons of royalty are willing to die in the Mediterranean Sea just to be a second-class citizen in a poor man's country. Second-class citizen in a poor man's country. I live in Spain. The average salary of a doctor in Spain is $2,000. So if you're going to a country where the salary is $2,000 and you don't have any degree or any education, how much are you going to earn? Now, don't think I'm saying this because you're Africans. I speak with the Spanish government. When we formed GTAI, we had a lawyer from the government come to talk to me. And I said to them, you need to rearrange your immigration laws to have what Canada is doing. Controlled means of people becoming citizens of your country. You don't have enough people paying taxes for your retiring old people. You need more people to pay taxes. And when you don't have controlled immigration, you get the riffraffs of Africa, the leftovers. Anybody willing to die in the Atlantic Ocean has nothing to lose. If you got something to lose, would you go and be a slave in Libya to cross over to the Mediterranean? I'm talking to a government official. I say, if you don't change your laws, you would always have the leftovers. And you know the funny thing? There will only be a burden to your social security. Because you created laws for your people that if somebody doesn't have a job, they need to collect help from the government. Somebody who has no skill, he doesn't have paper, he's going to survive somehow. If you don't give him a job, he's going to steal. But if you give him a controlled immigration, you can even select, educate. Then you have a mix of Africans in your society. Instead of having only uneducated people, and you think these are Africans. So when we had our summits, we purposely placed them in Europe and in 5-star hotels. One of my friends, a former government official from Spain, came to the summit. After the summit, he said he does not deserve to be the vice president of the organization. He thinks the caliber of people are above him. True statement. You're great Africans, and you should not allow anybody to define who you are. God bless you.